built in 1896 by my grandfather, D.H. Abernathy, and Mary Lou Abernathy, his wife. The initial house did not have the second window on the left on this room I'm pointing to upstairs. Also, the screened-in porch was not original. We installed that screened-in porch in the mid-50s. The sleeping porch on the left was added after the house was built. When we get around to the back, we'll make some additional comments about the changes. Initially, there was a 1-inch square picket fence, pickets about 30 inches long, that came along the perimeter of the yard. And at the entrance, main entrance, walk-in entrance, there were 4 big square posts about a foot square that had round wooden domes on them at the main entrance. The old barn back there was built same time the house, and that used to house the buggy and 2 black horses, Kate and Dixie, that were used to pull the buggy. Of course, when the house was built, they did not have any water system in Pittsburg nor sewer system. So they had gutters around the eaves of the house, and these gutters had downspouts, 2.5-inch downspouts to 3-inch, that ran down and ran under the house to a cistern. A settling basin located on the back porch. And I'll show you that as we progress. Then all of the water ran out of the gutters down into this settling basin. It was about 2 feet squared, about 3 feet deep. And it had an overflow pipe at the top that carried the water over into a cistern that was about 7 feet in diameter and about 20 feet deep. And there was a well rope with a pulley up to the ceiling, and they drew water out of the cistern for use in the house. There was also a well to the left here that was used to draw water for the horses and so forth. So that gives you a general outline of the house. The carport at the back was added in 1964, and the shop was built the same year, and Billy Hudnall and I built the shop and the carport. Now we'll proceed to the south side of the house, and I'll have some comments there. These oak trees, this one, that one, the 2 over 3 in the front yard, then there was 2 more, 1 in here and 1 over there. And then there were 4 out in the parkway between the sidewalk and the curb. And those out there were killed by electric lines running through them and having to continue to trim the trees. The trees located here and over on the corner were trees that died from natural diseases. And these trees were planted by my grandfather and my grandmother when the house was built. And prior to moving into this house, they lived east of here in a cabin, small frame house, before they moved down here in 1896. You'll notice a brick underpinning. Initially, the house did not have this brick underpinning. It was put in many years later after the house was built to keep the cold air from coming under the house and making the house cold. So that's the reason the underpinning was put there. You'll notice the floors on the porch are 1.25 inch boards, and the reason is if moisture collected underneath, the boards wouldn't rot as fast as 3/4 inch boards. Some of the boards have been replaced with 1/4 inch, and they have buckled, and we understand now why initially they used inch and a quarter flooring. Stop. You ready?
Just a second. Let's all get set up.
It's a utility room. Initially, that was a screened-in porch, and there was an entrance over on the far side, and you entered that porch and entered the kitchen area. Well, in 1964, Billy Hudnall and I built this carport, and also built this shop, which is 26 feet wide and 50 feet long. The barn, as I said earlier, was built the same time the house was, and it kept where they stored hay and feed for the two black horses, Kate and Dixie, that pulled a buggy. Now, my grandmother was a great fisherwoman, and my grandfather was the original stockholder in Ferndale Club Lake, which is 7 miles southwest of town, and the lake contains 2,200 surface acres. In 1900, a clubhouse was built at that site, and it looks today like it did when it was finished in 1900, except it's been air-conditioned, central heated since that time. And I'll tell you more about cook stove. What? This section of the house here was initially open, and upstairs on the second floor was a screened-in porch, and they had 8-foot columns that held that porch up. So in the late 20s, my grandmother added the bottom, and this contains, did at that time, a kitchen and a bathroom. And she added a kitchen and a bathroom upstairs. And that way she had 2 apartments that included the kitchen and bath and 2 bedrooms upstairs and the same downstairs. And she rented these apartments for additional income. This was the original kitchen, and where the refrigerator is was the entrance from the screened-in porch. These cabinets were not here until the mid-50s. The wood cook stove was located here, and where the entrance is now over here on the east side was a pantry where my grandmother mixed dough and did things of that sort in the pantry. These windows here were outside windows that had a screen on them and opened into the screened-in porch. Well, in the mid-50s, we enclosed the screened-in porch and put an entrance door here to my left to enter the utility room. You'll notice that this house has 10-foot ceilings, and the reason for that is to keep the house cool in the summertime. You have to realize that there was no air conditioning back in the early days, and oscillating fans didn't come in until the early 20s. So consequently, there wasn't any way to cool the house except open the windows. And that's one reason they built the sleeping porches with all the windows around, was so they could raise them at night and use the natural outside air for cooling. Stop.
Probably get over there about in front of the stairs. Get this okay, everybody ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
This is the back stairway going to the upstairs area. Now, where the cabinets are on the left, were not here until the mid-50s. And prior to that time, there was a dumb elevator located here, and the dumb elevator was worked by a 1-inch manila cord rope that pulled the wood boxes upstairs to the second floor. Now, these wood boxes were about 3 feet wide, 3 feet deep, and about 4 feet long, and they had casters on them. So they would load them on the back porch and bring them in through the door to my left and put them on the elevator and pull them up to the second floor. The elevator also went to the attic and carried items up there for storage. As a matter of fact, there are 2 wood stoves up there now that were located on this first floor and in one of the bedrooms. The bathroom you see on the left did not exist in the early years. That was open out there, as I previously stated. And the second floor, which was a screened-in porch, was supported by 8 by 8 columns. The bathrooms added in the 20. Stop.
All right. We're going to film this in 2, 3, go.
This room is 16 by 32 feet with 10-foot ceilings. It was initially the dining room. The dining table sat about here, and this dining table we have that was initially in here would seat about 12 or 14 people. It had that much extension for it. Of course, the light fixture here is the original light fixture that was in this room. We have since, and you'll notice the sliding doors in the wall back here, and you'll notice a mantle over here, and there are 6 mantles on this one chimney. And we'll look at the others momentarily. But you'll notice the kitchen was where I told you. They walked across the hall and brought the food into the dining room. And when we would have a celebration of the members of the family, we'd have this room full with tables and chairs for special occasions such as Christmas, Thanksgiving, and so forth. Stop. In east in this dining room, and you'll notice they had 6 windows on the east side, and again they raised the windows to try to keep the room cool. I might say that this table here is a bench. You lift up the top and it forms a bench. Now this was back in a closet off the kitchen initially, and my grandmother used to knead bread on top of this table here. So the table is probably 85 or 90 years old. I'd say 90 years old. Stop. 6 windows. The 4 at the far end were added right after the house was built to have additional space. Now the same applies to the upstairs bedroom. It was extended east also to provide additional space in the bedroom upstairs. And we'll talk more about that later. Stop.
2, 3, go.
This is a sideboard that my grandmother used for years, and it was oak.
We haven't talked about this room. Tell us where we are first. Let's do it over again.
All right, this room.
Just a second. All right, 1, 2, 3, go.
This room was initially my grandfather's library. It contained many bookcases, and we'll see some of them upstairs. It contained many bookcases. You'll notice that this window over here, this now whatnot shelf, was a window to the outside, because I said there wasn't any room over there initially to the house, so this opened to the outside. Then these doors were added later when the room was added. They had 14 chairs like this one here that goes with this table, and this table was in the dining room and the chairs were all in there. You'll see some of the chairs sitting around here in the room. There's one, here's another one, here's some over here, and then we've got some elsewhere. Now you'll notice also that we have a fireplace in this room that was one of 6 on the one chimney. On one chimney, still is for that matter. Now you'll notice a picture above the fireplace, and this picture was painted by my aunt Lula Mae Abernathy in her early years. My right, David, you may want to change here. The closet has been added and was not here initially when the house was built. The light fixture in this room is also an original light fixture. Stop.
Was it original to this room?
Yes.
Okay.
Room was called the parlor, and there was 3 pieces of furniture in here that is not in here now, and that's a cherry 2-room seat and 2 single cherry finished chairs. We see those in one of the upstairs bedrooms. I might call your attention to this fireplace, and it's on the same chimney with the other fireplaces. And this is a bird's eye maple fireplace, which makes it a very attractive fireplace here. As they burned wood in all these fireplaces initially. The furniture in this room is not original. This furniture, these 2 chairs here, and this divan and table came from my mother's house, which is east of this house. And my mother's house was built in 1919. The whatnot to my left came out of the plantation home of my great-grandmother, and it's over 100 years old. This piece of furniture here that I'm pointing to
Hold on just a second. Okay, now start.
This furniture here that I'm pointing to was originally oak finish, and we had it changed back to the color it is now, which is a dark walnut finish. The chair on the right of that piece of furniture was a breakfast room chair in my mother's home back in the 1920s. There were 4 of them for the breakfast room table. Stop. It's also a mate to the one I just described that belonged to my mother's breakfast room suite back in the 1920s. This walnut top table is about 90 years old and has been in this house as long as I can remember. Stop.
1, 2, 3, go.
This marble top table has been in this house as long as I can remember. Stop.
Start out like you did.
Original one little chair that I can remember as long as I've been here. This is a
Talk about the room first, and then we'll talk about the furnishings.
This is the entrance hall downstairs. You enter from the north side of the house. This chair has been here as long as I can remember. This is another fireplace that attaches to the same chimney as the other fireplaces. This is the original hall tree for this house. You had an umbrella stand here. You hung your hats and coats on these hangers. It had a lid that opened up for storage down below. Stop. Actually, there was a marble laboratory here after the water system was installed in 1905. And this house was dedicated just like a church. My grandfather was a member of the Methodist Church. He was chairman of the building committee of the 1904 Methodist Church. So he had this house dedicated just like a church, and he would invite the pastors here, particularly during the conference, and they would wash their hands at a marble laboratory here that has since been moved upstairs to another location. This table is a walnut table that came out of my great-grandfather's plantation home, and it's over 100 years old. This divan came from my great-aunt's house, Belle Breed, and it's over 100 years old. You will notice the stairway to my right and how fancy carved it is. And you'll notice to the left over here an old Victrola, and it still works. This is the original light fixture for this hall. It was here when the house was wired for electricity. Now do we want to stop? Entrance door to this house, and if you notice, the glass is bevel glass, and it has the initials DHA carved in the middle with decorations at each corner. And it was installed when the house was built. Stop. Of the several bookcases that were in my grandfather's library, you'll notice another one over here to my right that was in there. And also, there's one back of you that was in the library. There were several others in there at that time. And back of where you are standing are 3 windows in part of the cupola of the house.
Okay, let's just stop and look back this way.
It now on the 2nd floor in the hall upstairs. And here's another bookcase to my left that was in my grandfather's library. You'll notice a curve area here, which is part of the cupola that's on the northeast section of the house. You notice these wicker chairs and benches here that have been here for a number of years. This door here is an exit to the porch section upstairs, and it's original. Stop. You'll notice again a fireplace in this room, and it's connected to the same chimney that the other 5 fireplaces are connected to. None of the furniture in this room is original except the marble table next to the window.
Just don't say anything here. Let's just get this shot.
Fixture in this room came from one of the older houses in Camp County that we acquired back in the 1950s before the houses were torn down. And I electrified this oil lamp so that we could light it with electricity. I would say that lamp is probably close to 100 years old. Stop. These are two of the 9-foot sliding doors between the rooms here, and downstairs we have 4 more sets of these sliding doors. They could be elevated or lowered, adjusted, so that they would roll smooth and stand straight, so they would come together when they were closed. And all of them still work real well, put in 1896. And the rollers, the rollers run on a metal strip, but the rollers have a Bakelite between the flanges of the roller, so you don't hear any noise when you roll the doors. The adjustments are at the top on each end of the door. They can be adjusted with a screwdriver. This is another fireplace. This is the 6th fireplace on this same chimney. And this bedroom is immediately south of the northwest bedroom. Stop. Now let me get, y'all get over here where I am and we'll... You'll notice the size of these rooms are rather large compared to current behind the bedrooms, to have plenty of space for any kind of furniture that you want to install. You will notice the light overhead, which is another light that was taken, light fixture that was taken out of one of the rural homes, and I electrified it back in the 50s, and that's where it came from, and it's in good keeping with the style and model of this house. Stop. You'll notice over each door, that is an opening door, not one that has sliding doors, that over each walk-in door, coming from, this happens to go to the hall upstairs, and there's a transom. And you had a control rod here that opened and closed the transom. And this was done also for the purpose of circulating the air through the house. Stop. Room. And this was the master bedroom of my grandfather and grandmother. Again, you will notice a triangle closet here in the corner. Then later, we added this closet to have additional storage space. Of course, this furniture is not original, but again, you'll notice a transom over the entrance door. And my grandmother passed away in this room. Incidentally, in the prior room, I was born in the prior room that we just left in 1912. Stop. It's a hall to which you exit to get into the bedroom upstairs south of the northwest bedroom and into the master bedroom. It also leads to the back stairway and leads to the bathroom on my right. Stop. And we'll come on. Wash basin. You notice it's marble. It's been here since the house was built. And they didn't make room because the entrance into this bedroom, so they put the laboratory out here and the tub and the commode in the bathroom. The only bad part of it is people coming up the steps be looking straight in the bathroom if you don't close the door. was the entrance to the dumb elevator. If you'll notice the peculiar latch here on this side of the door to keep it from hanging on anything being moved by the elevator. This was the size of the dumb elevator here, and we just converted it to a storage closet. Here is the entrance to the attic. The attic is floored, and it has a ladder here that you have to climb to get into the attic. Now this room and the master bedroom were heated with wood heaters, and the heater sat here and the chimney was here to take the smoke and so forth from the wood heater. And they would pull in the wood box and store it here for the wood for the stove. This dresser was initially part of the furniture that was in the master bedroom. The chest of drawers here was part of the master bedroom furniture, as well as the full-length mirror was all part of the master bedroom furniture. Now the iron beds, and there's two of them in this room, have been in the family for 100 years. One of them was occupied by a cousin of ours, Miss Claude Adair, and one of these beds was in the master bedroom along with a sleigh bed that matched this furniture. These doors were put in as an entrance to a sleeping porch that has 8 windows. And as I said, the windows provided air for staying cool in the summer, and the people slept out there on the sleeping porch. Now this closet was added back in the 1960s, as well as the one over to my left. As I said, they had big chests they hung their clothes in back in the early years. Stop. Earlier, I told you that there was a 2-seat bench, as shown here, that's made out of cherry, and it was in the parlor initially